Just say start once you want message.
Yes, sir.
South Africa continues to bury the dead following the worst flood in over 60 years that hit the KwaZulu-Natal province. The flood killed over 435 people last month. So far, the country has buried only about 200 people and more than 59 bodies remain missing. This weekend, the Laloso family buried 9 children between 2 and 10 years old. These children were washed away at night when violent water swept through their homes, taking everything on its path. The flood is the most deadly in South Africa's history. In Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, plans are in high gear to welcome Belgium's King Philippe and Queen Mathilde. They will make an official visit to the country in June. The royal family and some government ministers will be in Congo from the 7th of June to the 13th. In June of 2020, at the peak of the Black Lives Matter movement, King Felipe expressed his deepest regrets for the abuses his country inflicted on the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo during the colonial era. It was the first time that a royal family member had expressed remorse about the crimes against humanity that his countrymen perpetrated in Congo. The brutality by King Leopold of Belgium is considered one of the worst in human history. Colonialists from Belgium raped and killed millions of Congolese and left more with amputated hands for failing to work on farms and rubber plantations. At the 1884 Berlin Conference, where European powers ended their scramble for Africa, the King of Belgium, Leopold II, claimed Congo as his personal property. Congo gained independence in 1960, and 6 months after, agents of Belgium and the United States killed the elected Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba. I am Chido Onuma. It is 8:30 a.m. in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
In New York.
It is 4:30 p.m. in Nigeria.
It is 5:30 p.m. in KwaZulu-Natal province, South Africa. Wherever in the world you are joining us, welcome to another edition of 90 Minutes Africa. On our show today, we have the gadfly of Nigerian politics. He's a human rights activist, leader of the Revolution Now movement, publisher of Sahara Reporters, and a presidential aspirant under the African Action Congress Party in the 2023 election. Please welcome to the show Omoyele Sowore. All right. So Omoyele Sowore is going to join us in a few minutes. We are waiting for him. We were in touch with him, and all of a sudden, we can't locate him. But we are going to get him to join us. Okay, I think he's calling me. Hold on, okay. This is live TV. That's how it is. Hello? Yeah. Hello? Okay. All right. Okay. In 1 minute. All right. Okay. So when he joins us, we are going to talk about several things: the situation in Nigeria, his presidential aspiration, what's going on with his political party, the African Action Congress. So in a moment, he's going to join us and we will talk about that. In the meantime, let me give you a video of Sowore, who just last week was able to leave Abuja for the first time in 3 years. And he went to his hometown of Ondo, and this is how people received him.
Sowore suddenly dived in the water. Others who could swim also joined in. As an Ijaw boy, Sowore must have missed this water. For the past 3 years, he was in detention and also restricted to Abuja. This must be sweet.
All right. We're still waiting for him to join us, and we know he's trying to do that. And stay with us, okay? In the meantime, let me also show you a video of the last time that I saw Sowore in New York. Here was the day he met with Nnamdi Kanu. Let's take a look.
Had very, very useful conversation today so that everybody that's aspiring for a just and fair society, you know, can come together and rise up now and bring about an end to the sorrow and the suffering and the domination and the oppression that has become almost synonymous with our genes in Nigeria.
All right. I can see Sowore trying to join. His video is not on yet, but as soon as his video is on, we'll bring him into the studio. Um, so for those who want to, I posted a request for questions. If you have any questions that you want to ask him, we will give you opportunity. But so far, we've received so many questions from viewers and people who are interested in making sure that their opinion is expressed. So while we wait for him to come in with his camera, I think his device is having problem connecting to us. But as soon as he's up, we will begin the show and asking questions. There are so many things to discuss. He's been appearing on TV stations and TV shows and talking about his ideas for Nigeria and what he plans to do if he wins the election. We will discuss those things. We want to advance the conversation. You know, we are going to go beyond the answers he gave in other interviews and try to get him to explain some other things that most people want to hear from him. Chido,
Yes.
I'm sure you are excited about this. This is the first of our series, what we call the presidential candidate series, so or the aspirants, and we are going to talk to as many candidates or people who are interested in running for president as possible within this month. So we are putting out requests to all the people who are interested in running
I
for.
think it's on now.
Okay, all right. Mr. Sowore, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Sorry
Hi.
for the late.
Good to have you.
We are happy to have you here, and a lot of people are excited about this opportunity to hear from you. And we put our questions, request for
I
questions.
saw you. You could see what happened to your eyes, man. You didn't
I,
even
I, I
go.
can't see anymore. I'm getting old.
You
You know.
didn't,
I
you
know.
didn't even go to jail and you didn't
The,
spend my time in
the last
jail.
the last time we saw, I wasn't wearing glasses, but things changed.
I know
Anyway,
that's why I'm worried about you.
yeah, yeah.
Can you see me now?
I can see you now with this. Now let's get the big elephants in the room out of the way so that we can go into other things. You're running for president under the African Action Congress. Now, a
Yeah.
faction of your party issued a statement published in newspapers in Nigeria where they said that you are not their presidential candidate for the 2023 presidential election. They said that you were expelled from the party in 2019 for violating the party's constitution. You know, they mentioned that you doubled as the national chairman and the presidential candidate and that you misappropriated funds. Now, you said in the past that Buhari's government is the sponsor of this faction of the party. Now, is that a good enough answer? You know, their critics are saying that the answer is not different from what the Buhari's government says when they harass you or Nnamdi Kanu by saying that, oh, you people are being sponsored by external people trying to destroy Nigeria. For those who are watching you for the first time, can you give an answer to what's happening within your party?
I mean, it's very simple. I founded a party in 2018, and it was me. Well, I won't say I, because it's a number of us from diaspora, and we put a guy in charge between our home, and I was campaigning around the world in Nigeria. And While he was setting it up, we found out that he was compromised and he was kicked out of the party. But as soon as the elections were over, which he never participated in, they called him. It's just not the Buhari regime, it was also the PDP. Give him money to go take over the party. To explain to you contextually how bad this was, so the guy who had no money to buy gas, petrol for his car, who suddenly had money, at least at the minimum 5 million naira to live broadcast, saying he's now in charge of the party. So we we dug into this, found out it was Wiki that was funding him because he had a problem with Amechi and the others, who he first sponsored AAC against him. And we made this um, available to the whole world. So when they discovered that this wasn't working, I got arrested, for planning according to them to overthrow the government. And while I was in detention, these individuals went to Imo State to have a convention that had no member of our party involved because we have a legitimate party register, which we recently submitted to INEC. And they claimed that I had been expelled while I was in detention. When I came out of detention, we liquidated. I went to INEC, even participated in elections where we nominated candidates in Edo State, participated in local government elections in Ondo State, also the governorship in Ondo State. So this is nothing difficult uh, to decipher. There's nothing. I was never involved in party financial activities. There were two accounts. One was for the presidential run, which I started even before the party was formed. And there was a party account to which he, Leonard, SNY, was signatory with and never had anything to do with that account. The one I raised money for, which was the one that I was particularly involved with, which was for the presidential run, which had existed before the party was even established. When we were done with the election, we released the statement of account for that particular account because it was for the presidential run. Personally, to me, I raised money for it and GoFundMe account in Zenith Bank. There's nothing to uh, figure out about it. Even when I was in detention, the government brought a whole download of my party, sorry, my presidential run account at Zenith Bank. They downloaded everything and showed it to me, and they were asking me questions about everything. When they were done with it, they were surprised that there was nothing there hidden. It was all the donations and the expenses matched accurately. And they said it was this individual who told them that was DSS now, where I spent 4 months, that was how I was raising money to overthrow the government. Are you getting my point?
Hmm.
So there's nothing there to really worry about. I'm not worried about. I have been through this before, where people just accuse me of things I'd never done because I was a lady in
Well,
the party.
are you saying this has no impact in your campaign, or it's not something the party is concerned about?
I don't understand what you mean.
I mean, the public, with people read stories like this and they know you and your background. Does
No,
it
no,
not worry you?
no, it doesn't. When I was arrested, the federal government claimed that I went to Dubai to receive $100 million to overthrow the government. That was the allegation. In fact, I was initially charged for money laundering. It was one of the charges. But the moment they discovered I've never been to Dubai before, they quietly withdrew the charge. So it's not new. This was 2019 when I was arrested. And you know this, the federal government issued a statement, the DSS, that is the secret police, issued a statement that
But sorry, Sowore, that's the question, and I'm not saying this in. I'm not being glib about it. You're telling us now, and we're aware of this. Not many people, like millions of Nigerians, don't know this interaction with the DSS. The government held you for months, and when it was convenient for them, they did what they had to do. But I'm looking at their own propaganda, so to say, does for your own image and the image of the party. Is that not something to be concerned about to and find a way to put this to rest?
no, it is we have put it to rest by releasing the accounts which is still online today. And by the way, I'm the only presidential candidate probably in the history of Nigeria that's ever released to the public my income and expense account. It's still available today. You can Google search it. It's on YouTube. It's available everywhere. Nobody has faulted it. Like I've told you, there are two tranches. I mean, there are two tranches of income for my presidential. For the party. The party was established in August of 2018. My presidential run had existed before then. Are you getting my point? And then two accounts were open. One of them was on GoFundMe that had received over $140,000. And then there was a local account, and combined, we raised about 157 million to 160 million naira when all of them are combined, exchanged. And I'm saying to you that we have explained to the public, and it's available online. You can Google it, the accounting of what happened to the money. Nothing else existed beyond that. But it's very convenient in Nigeria. The moment they hear money, you stand no chance of explaining yourself. But this is made available. And so you can't rule out the place of propaganda. They lie against you, say, oh, Sowore took money for people never explain. But the moment you present them with copies of the accounting, they disappear into oblivion and they'll come up with something else. And that's why I gave you the example of how the federal government itself claimed that I went to Dubai in 2019 to take money from whomever would never reveal to come back to Nigeria and overthrow the government in revolution now. And when it was revealed to them that I've never been to Dubai before because they got a copy of my passport through a court order, they quietly drop those charges of money laundering. I don't know if you were aware of the money laundering charges against me.
Yeah.
Yes, they never did. They also quietly dropped the cyberbullying charge against President Buhari because there's a provision in the cyber stalking law, whatever they call it, that if you accuse somebody of cyber stalking you, you must be willing to appear in court to defend the charge, how you were cyberbullied. And Buhari would not come to court to say I cyberbullied him because he doesn't even read newspapers. So they dropped that charge as well, leaving us now with one charge only, and this was treasonable felon. And two judges have disappeared over those charges. Yes, we're now with a third judge who has refused to assign a date to that case. So I'm just reiterating once again that there's nothing like that. I have immense understanding of how the world works. And if anything like that existed, by now I would have been proven wrong. Somebody would have said, oh, your accounting is inaccurate, or you took money for so. They even accused me of staying in a hotel for a whole year and that I was paying a certain amount per night. And when they were confronted with the reality, which was that I came into night before 2018, I do not spend more than 1 week in Nigeria for over almost 19 years. Never spent more than a week in Nigeria. So after 2018, during 2018 and 2019, I traveled everywhere, 34 states, in which I spent an average of 3 nights to 4 nights per state. So how could I have stayed in a hotel for a year? I traveled abroad. In the US alone, I spent time in 7 cities. I could name them. I spent time in about 4 cities in Canada. I traveled in Australia for a week. I was in South Africa for 3 to 4 or 5 days. I mean, I said about 3 to 4 days in South Africa. I was in Ghana. So I was in several parts of the world. So where would I have spent a whole month sitting in a hotel? When they were confronted with that, they also disappeared. So there is nothing there but apart from propaganda. But this is not the only propaganda they use. There's a time they assigned to me extraordinary powers that I single-handedly brought Buhari to power.
That we're getting to that. That's another chat that
I'm
people will
just,
never.
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that so that you can get a grip of how the propaganda works. against.
Let me ask you that question because I hear that all the time. We got a lot of questions about that too. I want you to address it. You know, they said that your critics, they said that you opposed you supported Buhari and opposed Jonathan when Buhari was running in 2015, and they often show a picture of you at the Buhari's when they declared him winner. And of course, you've answered that question several times. I know that there are people who might be watching who have not seen you answer that question. You've talked about your role as a publisher of Sahara Reporters, and that your job means that you have to, or then you had to hold people accountable. And then you also said that Jonathan, when he was having problem with the cabal, the Yaradua cabal, you were out there saying that constitutionally he should be allowed to take over. Now, for those who are watching you for the first time address this question, can you once again and maybe finally, put it to bed by saying and giving them an answer?
The best way to put it to bed is to say this, and I'm very direct about it. The person who brought Buhari to power, the person, number one person who brought Buhari is Jonathan. He mismanaged Nigeria so bad that Buhari became even remotely attractive to people who were looking for an alternative. Secondly, each time I traveled to Nigeria to cover Buhari or Jonathan, whenever I returned, particularly in 2014 and particularly in 2014, um, we used to have a show on Sahara TV. And you were one of you, Jonathan. I'm sorry, it's funny. You, Rudolph, used to be one of the people who interviewed me on my trip. And so I would explain to you what happened. So I never hid this. In fact, the video they used, I was the one who uploaded it on Sahara TV YouTube channel when I came back. When they were shouting, Dole, and their position was that because Sahara Reporters and Sahara TV reported the election in advance before they could rig it, they appreciated it. And up till today, when I walk around in Abuja, everywhere else, people mob me and say, oh, you're this, you're that. So it has nothing to do with that. But most importantly, the Jonathan that they claim I was working against is now working for Buhari. So I'm expecting an apology, you understand, from this propaganda. But it's part of the propaganda that they've used against some of us who have never been compromised. I remember, uh, Rudolph, and I'm not trying to re-interview you, I'm not reversing roles here. When Buhari first came to the US after he won the election, he requested to see me, and you can testify to this. And I said, I'm not going to see him. Instead, I asked you if you could go with Adeola, and we were working together at that time. And I think you guys went to interview him at an event at the United Nations, if I'm right. I've never met Buhari before, and I don't have any plans to meet him. So these are some of the things you can testify to. Again, I'm not trying to put you on the hot seat. That's not the goal of today's interview. But you cannot, in my view, be uh, an offender of the powerful, rich, and influential. And people won't tell lies against you. When they tell lies against you and they put money behind it, they spread the propaganda. But I shrug it off because I know what it's about. I know what it takes to
Yeah.
do this. To make someone who is uncompromising, who doesn't play games, to look bad in the eyes of the public because they have the funds, they have the ability to do it. They do
Thank
all
you.
these things because they understand that the public is gullible. But over
Thank you.
time, people are now getting to understand all these things, and I think it would it will be clearer to more people as we move forward.
Thank you very much, Sowore. We'll come to the more substantive questions about your run for office, and there are lots of questions to ask. Well, let me following up on the point you just made about not having met the president before. Would you say if the president wrote to you to invite you to Aso Rock for whether a personal or official meeting as a presidential aspirant, are you saying you won't honor that invitation?
I won't accept it. I don't need to see the outgoing president to become the new president of Nigeria.
I don't
No,
believe in this thing.
not in that context. It's not probably not political related. I'm just saying that as a Nigerian, as a citizen, if the president extends a letter of invitation to you to discuss, would you honor that invitation?
No, absolutely not.
All right. So let's come to the your politics. You want to run for president. You ran for president 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, and you plan to do so again in 2023. On one hand, you've been pushing for revolution now, and I, I watched your interview on the Falola interview series, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was sometime last year or early this year. I don't remember now. Where you spoke so eloquently about the need for a revolution in Nigeria. What does Omoyele Sowore want? You want a revolution, or you want to become the next president of Nigeria through a democratic mean?
I've said it before and I'll repeat it here that the most powerful form of revolution is the will of the people. And in asking for a revolution after the 2019 election, I realized that the electoral system cannot deliver justice, electoral justice to Nigerian people. And a revolution needs to happen. And it's required that this revolution takes all forms, including helping to expose fraud that lead to votes not counting in elections, and that to spark an understanding by the people that the revolution is the only way out. But on the other side of it, I am convinced that if I were to become the president of Nigeria today, if they allow votes to count, that revolution that I'm asking for, which would change the dynamics of relationship between the leds and the leaders, or the ruled and the rulers, will come about because I'm the only candidate that's fighting for change of the constitution, and the candidate who believes in referendum in the constitution, and the candidate who believes in changing the constitution entirely, that believes in redistribution of wealth and resources, believes in the right of people to determine their future and geographical boundaries. That will even those who are calling for restructuring, whichever way they want it to happen, they're also asking for a revolution. So that is what is this about. You cannot ask for a revolution and go and hide without exposing the flaws of the system. And some of the ways we expose the flaws of the system is to participate so that people can see that this system has nothing
And
whatsoever.
you
Yeah.
think this message is resonating with Nigerians?
Oh, I believe so. I believe so. I think one thing I've understood about Nigerians is that it takes a while for anything at all to sync with Nigerians. And you have to be persistent and consistent in telling them, look, see what we're talking about. Let them see that you are always out there. After 2019, every other candidate I know of went to sleep. But I kept pushing for revolution. I kept pushing for consciousness. I kept conscientizing Nigerian youths. And I believe that part of the reason why they rose, they woke up and did NSAS was because somebody kept talking to them about uh, the inadequacy of the system. And after that, everything changed. But listen, if you want a revolution, you have to work towards it. You can't just go sit down and hope that these things will automatically take place. I'm sorry, there's no electricity at this point, so it came back.
Okay.
Um, yes,
All right. So
if
let
it's
me
part
play
of
you.
this, there must be a revolution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me play you a video of somebody you are a friend of yours, what he said about Nigeria as it is today, and then when I come back, you will get a reaction from you about what he said. Just a minute. Okay, let's play.
any Nigerian who is still hanging around waiting for 2023 to change Nigeria is a fool. Line 20 Daily Faro me up and ask them to become president of Nigeria. 20 of me, 20. Multiply their brain power by 10, factor of 10, and then force them to operate the 1999 Constitution with the governance system that is enshrined in it. We shall fail spectacularly. The problem of Nigeria can never be resolved by personnel changes. The system is designed with impunity undergirding it, and it can never deliver anything positive to the Nigerian peoples. Be those Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Fulani, whatever they care to be. Make an Igbo man president of Nigeria in 2023 and force him to operate the 1999 Constitution. Complete waste of time. Igbo will continue to suffer the brunt of the wickedness of the Nigerian state.
All right, that is Dele talking about Nigeria, the constitution, and this kind of consensus that the constitution is not working for anybody, that it needed to be restructured. And one person running for president even said that Nigeria is like a vehicle with a knocked engine, that asking anybody to go and run it is like, how would they be able to drive a car without an engine? But you seem to think otherwise. How do you think that you will take an oath to abide by the Constitution and then go in there and go against that Constitution? That's what people want to know.
Yeah. First, let me show my utmost respect for Dele Farotimi. Brilliant guy. But even Dele has changed that position. Dele is now rooting for an Igbo president for Nigeria. So that tells you that his position is dynamic. I met him not too long ago with Pa Ayo Adebanjo. And their position is that they feel like an Igbo man should become president. And if that's the case, then some things will change. So, but in terms of my own position, I don't think that the personal changes should come from this whole regional arrangement, because we've tried it before. We tried the Yoruba man in 1999. He failed spectacularly. Hausa man after that, it failed spectacularly. And the German for the first time running Nigeria through Jonathan, failure, spectacular failure. You brought Buhari, former army general. He's represented a lot of constituencies, the gerontocrats, the retired generals, Muslims, Northerner, failed spectacularly. So for you to change the constitution that Dele is talking about, you need somebody who's out there, whose agenda is to go in there and change the constitution. I've been working on change of constitution with others since 1992 when I was at the University of Lagos. We even organized our own constitutional sovereign national conference that the police came and scattered. So I've always believed that that constitution, where I agree with Dele, that constitution is fake, it's irrelevant, that it cannot work. But if I swear to a constitution when I become president, just like South Africans did after the end of apartheid, we are not held bound to that constitution. You can work towards changing that constitution and then bring into existence another constitution that deals with all those factors. The only reason I can't change the constitution before 2023 is because I don't have the power to do it, no matter how frequently I appear on these shows. As president, you can make that happen. And when you make that happen, that constitution changes forever, because you go through a referendum as well, which is a form of election. And it will be that everybody came on board to change the constitution. It can accommodate all of these issues we are talking about. And I'm not afraid that a constitution comes in, accommodates referendum, accommodates self-determination, accommodates sexuality, and every good thing, that people want in their constitution, like South Africa's constitution did. So I'm just saying that Billy and I are in constant contact. And I said, maybe update yourself. Billy has changed some of his position.
Yeah, so
As far as I know, is that he wants an Igbo man to become the president of Nigeria, because
yeah,
they
so
believe that that's for him, the new path towards equality for the country.
so going back to that question, I would like to argue that you can find competent people from across the country. And people are
I'll do that.
worried that sacrificing this for the unity of the country. And I think that's the point of view. And I'm not speaking for Dele now, where the tangent from which the likes of Dele and Pa Banjo are taking. Are you not concerned about the unity of Nigeria and if there is anything we can do? Because even as president, you have to have a country for you to be able to govern. How do you respond to that?
I think the word unity has become like a buzzword for blackmail or blackmailing Nigerians. Everybody's like, the first buzzword is unity, unity, and unity. Has anybody talked about justice? And
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I
So they go together, justice and unity. You
if
can't
I
have
can relate
unity
to
without having justice.
yes, but that is not going to come to any part of Nigeria by simply zoning the presidency to a section in which you still leave the political elites who are the source of injustice to determine the winner. I am saying, for instance, and I'm not in any way denigrating anybody, that if you zone the presidency to the southwest and it produces Bola Tinubu, you have just done greater injustice to the southwestern people of Nigeria and the rest of Nigeria because it's going to continue with the policy of the Buhari regime. If you zone it to Shibaju, who is a pastor, a coward, you are not doing anything to change the face of the social political
No,
situation of Nigeria. If
sure,
you
I
go to the
agree.
south, no wait,
So,
let me finish. If you go to the southeast and you give me Nnamdi Kanu, I'm sorry, Ojius or Kalu, as the president of Nigeria, not doing any justice to the desire for a better country. If you give it to Sowore, and Sowore is able to provide a third Niger bridge, he brings justice, he respects the rights of people, he brings jobs, he brings infrastructure, he provides a level playing field for everybody. Why would the Igbo man not be happy about? Why would the Hausa man not be happy about that? Why would the Jaws not be happy about that? And joked about it that if it is such a regional thing, that it must be the turn of the Igbos. Don't forget that IPOP says that Biafra starts from Ekpe, so I'm Biafran, So all the way from Ekpe to the last city or state in the southeastern part of Nigeria, which is what IPOP people are saying. I'm not excluded, but I'm not playing any regional, ethnic, ethnocentric politics. I have to be very clear about that. We just Nigeria is in need of a leader that believes in justice, equity, and fairness. And I know that this is also buzzword you hear from time to time, and let that happen. Let the people of Nigeria determine the best of their leader. Don't zone leadership to incompetent people who are going to still put us because we've seen it before. We've tried it before. In 1999, after the end of military rule, which you and I contributed to their demise, we went to sleep and we allowed the same people to choose the person to which the presidency should be zoned because Abiola was killed or died, whichever way you look at it. And who did they produce? Obasanjo. Obasanjo was in power for 8 years. He could not construct a highway from Lagos to his hometown. He did not bring in jobs. He didn't bring in justice. He didn't do anything for everyone. And then here we are, And they said, let me go back to the north. Then the north produced a man with no kidneys. He was sick, and I'm not mocking him. And they knew that he was not going to survive it. And then in the course of that, he came back to the Jaws, the fourth largest ethnic group. The political elite chose for the Jaws a PhD holder who was clueless. Look at where we are today. And then when we're done, they said, oh, it's time for this thing to go back to the north. Went back to Katsina, and they produced Buhari. Okay, are you not? We are still zoning now, right? We zone it back to the north. The north produce the worst of them for 8 years now. We are regretting it. So why is it that we haven't learned anything? Now you let them introduce their buzzword again. We want this to be zoned to the Igbos because they've been marginalized. So whatever reason the political class. What I'm saying is that all of these decisions are not from us, the regular people. It came from the political class. Chido, you were not in a meeting where they said they're zoning meeting, presidency to the north. You just heard about it, probably you last time. Rudolph was not in that meeting. And if they had said to me, well, maybe we should, we should allow the Igbos to produce a Chido Numa, maybe I could trust the process. But when they are considering who to become the presidential candidate, I mean the political class now, from the southeastern part of it, they're not going to choose you, even though you have a PhD. They're not going to choose Rudolph Okonkwo because it's never going to be chosen. He doesn't want to come back home.
Yeah,
They're going to
but
choose one
yeah,
of the
but
worst factors possible, and have you guys argue about that for the rest of your life until another 8 years is gone.
no, no. But sure, let me take you up on this matter, and I agree with you completely. But my question is, you're talking at one level about the political class. I'm saying let's look beyond the political class and their remedy about zoning. You and I know, and we've been in this for decades. There are people who believe this. So when you talk about Nigeria and you want him to be the president of Nigeria, there are people who genuinely believe this country is a phantom. Some describe it as a contraption.
Yeah.
That we don't have a country. So I'm not talking about zoning. We don't want to fight another civil war before we come back to the question of, because we are a multi-ethnic, whether we like it or not, we are a multi-ethnic and multicultural religious society. And if you look at, you're a student of history, look at what's happened in places like Sierra Leone, Liberia, Iraq, and so on, where these challenges get to the head, then there is a civil war, then people now sit at the table and start discussing the more fundamental question of power sharing and so on. I'm saying let's look beyond the zoning arrangement of the political class. As an activist, as somebody on the progressive side of politics in Nigeria, what to you is the biggest challenge this country faces today? Because for you to be president, you have to be president of a country. And if people say
Exactly.
we don't want to be part of this country, what are you going to govern?
I have just not been someone who talks about these issues. I've been part of it. What I mean part of it is that I've been punished for it. You know, when I was arrested in 2019, part of the things they accused me of was that I was trying to dismember Nigeria. And when I was granted bail in court, by court of law, they came and abducted me and they prepared fresh charges. And the charges explicitly stated that I was working with Nnamdi Kanu to carry out terrorism in Nigeria. And this time I go to Nnamdi Kanu's trial, they bring thugs, with knife, guns, petrol bombs to attack me because they genuinely believe, that I am part of people who want to dismember Nigeria. But my position is that you cannot keep this Nigeria going on the basis of blackmail that, it's shared to be one Nigeria, but you ignore the constituents in Nigeria. Some of them are not satisfied with it. They feel that there's social, economic injustice. They feel marginalized. I am saying that to address that, we should not go the route of what the political class has defined as a path out of this. I am not a big fan of restructuring as some older people define it because you can never even understand what they mean by restructuring. We're going back to 1963. Some of them would say it's just a creation of state police, control of resources. And when you say to them, if you control resources and you want regional government to come back, would the person in Ekiti, for instance, the southwestern part of Nigeria, accept to come back to Ibadan, abandon the state's boundaries, or own those states? They say, we are collapsing all of you back into the southwest region. Now, forget about your governorship. You have one premier of the southwest. Are they going to accept? The truth is no, because the political class prefer the state system where they get paid security votes, where they feel like they have boundaries that can be managed and they can get a good chunk of the federal dollars, which come from the Niger Delta region. The Niger Delta region completely controls its resources. What is Osun State going to be spending? Are they going to be selling, fried plantain, dodo, as is popular with them? No. The truth is that a lot of these have consequences. And nobody's debating those things, but those of us who are intellectually a little bit engaged with this issue, we challenge them on it. And when you challenge them on it, you know what they say to you? Oh, you want to, you don't want to accept this. It turns into blackmail, because I want people to convince me that if you go to regional system where you have only 6 regions as opposed to that 6 states of the federation, the people who are going to lose the state system will agree with you. The truth is that most people will not, because even in the southeast, there is no united front about Biafra. I've been there before. Some people feel like they've gone past Biafra, but I'm not here to speak for what the southeastern part of Nigeria wants. No, because I respect that they have completely different opinion about how Nigeria is run. I am part of the southwestern part of Nigeria because I speak Yoruba, and that's where I grew up. Even though if you trace my trajectory, it takes me to Ijoland. In the southwestern part of Nigeria, not everybody agrees on self-determination. There was a time that everybody was like, it's either self-determination or nothing. And when the federal government, the governors, and the political elite in the Southwest invited Buhari to come and shoot at Sunday Igboho, killed 2 of his people, took everything they could find. When they came to try and this Abuja, nobody showed up. I was probably one of the few people that went to court, confronted the DSS. We got some of his colleagues who were arrested out. I don't think till today they've released the bodies of people that they shot or his cats, whatever they did with them. So it's not as easy as people make it sound. But the truth is that I am saying that it requires courage. People who holistically believe that Nigeria is a broken system and can be fixed with the input of everybody. And I've said, and I'll repeat it anywhere, that just mere creation of new dismembered part of Nigeria will not bring about justice. Because I know what happened to me, and this is not 1993, 2019. The people, all the persons who were involved in my prosecution were Yoruba people. The DSS men who came to abduct me in my hotel, the lawyer to the DSS who made up false charges against me, they were Yoruba people. The guys who were in charge of even the keys to my cell, they were Yoruba people. And they didn't object to my trial. You can say that, well, they are, they're just doing their job. That's a guy who is in detention today, accused of claiming that he wants to kill Buhari. It was just Twitter bans. His Igbo guy from Abia State, Solomon Akuma. The police lawyer trying him, who has kept him in jail to today, is an Igbo guy. One day I saw him and I said, "How are you doing this? Since you people want Nigeria to be dismembered, And
All right.
he said, "Well, do my job." So I'm just saying this. It's not to say that everybody who is involved in this must agree with me, but I'm making it clear that these solutions won't solve it. These very overly, sometimes simplistic solutions don't solve the problem. And I'm sure we're coming from the trajectory of should you support an Igbo president, would that bring about social justice? And I don't think so, because I know Nigeria very well. That,
all right, sure. Let's
control that. It's not about me and you.
Let me show a video of where you were talking about young people and the new Nigeria you think young people are looking for, and then we'll take it from there.
Who were born in 1999, children of democracy, as we call them, who are now about 21 to 20. In 1999, children of democracy, as we call them, who are now about 21 to 22 years old, they don't think like the old people. What we tell them, and I don't have any problem with old people, is that those old ideas should be allowed to rest, and they should not impose it or force it on several generations of Nigerians who want to think differently about how to move this country out of the doldrums. They have tried it before. They've tried all kinds of constitutions. They went to several constituent assemblies, constitutional conferences, and all these things were based on ethnic considerations, and it did not work.
All right. You were saying that young people are thinking differently, and I want to know: are you in tune with their thinking? And if you are, do you think that they constitute about say 70% of the population of Nigeria? Are they supporting your position, and are they going to vote for you? And if they are not going to vote for you, why are they not going to vote for you? That's what people are thinking. Like if this is true, you're presenting it that young people want to move away from the old thinking and come up with something new. What is the connection in terms of how they're responding to your position?
First, I have to say that we haven't reached that point yet where we can say definitely who people are going to vote for, because presidential candidates are, you know, everybody's still an aspirant. It's until when the political parties decide on who their main aspirant, candidates will be, that you can say for sure. But I must put a caveat out there. Young people in Nigeria are also like young people in other places. They are organized around their social, political, and economic reality. A lot of them would vote for people who have money to give them. I don't have money, and politics is heavily monetized here in Nigeria. But I believe that if you sit young people down and ask them what they would prefer, I will be a candidate that's preferred by most of them. But then they have to judge that against their own realities. You know, they'll be thinking about where would the next meal come from. If we're able to give us money to do that, it is reality. But I should say that we've not reached that point yet where you can write them off. Where you can say, well, who are they supporting? Because a lot of them are still very quiet. They're watching in the background what should be done and who they should support. But I've seen very amazing level of support, organic support for me since I started running. That makes me feel good about the future. But I cannot, in all honesty, rule out the other factors. What is famously or infamously known as Nigerian factor. I can't rule them out.
Okay, let me one last question on this structure and the issue of Nigeria, because it's not. I want to make it clear. People are writing that Nigeria is a scam. That we don't want Nigeria. I want to make it clear your position. Let me refer you to something that Chukwuemeka Odumegwu said in 1969, and he said that the Federation of Nigeria is today as corrupt, as unprogressive, and as oppressive and irreformable as the Ottoman Empire was in Eastern Europe over a century ago. In contrast, the Nigerian Federation, the form that it was constituted by the British, cannot, by any stretch of an imagination, be considered an African necessity. Yet, we are being forced to sacrifice our very existence as a people to the integrity of that ramshackle creation that has no justification, neither in history or in the freely expressed wishes of the people. That was 1969, and we've gone all these years, and it looks like as if the sentiment is still true today. Is Nigeria an African necessity for you? And does it have any justification in history or the freely expressed wishes of the people?
I should know. I don't know if you're there. I met Jim Ojukwu before he died. I think we're in Rhode Island. And some of these positions, I don't know, maybe with age had changed. But I'm not here to make that an issue. I'm a Pan Africanist by heart. And I've always believed, and I do believe today, that the problem of Africa would be greatly resolved if Nigeria remains a powerful force on the continent of Africa, if Nigeria continues to grow in prosperity and progress. But I'm not going to be in denial that Nigeria has not achieved or attained that level of progress that can make it a proud African base. And it's not only Jim Ojukwu who feels this way, but even before Mandela died, he said to one guy here, who's Nigerian, who was an ambassador to South Africa, uh, that if Nigeria gets it right, Africa. I'm paraphrasing him now. That until Nigeria gets it right, Africa will not get it right. So it is just the truth that as a people, we can become the pride of Black Africa, and we can also become a disgrace to Black Africa. But I don't. I've always said it, and I've been concerned about it. I don't believe that by tearing Nigeria apart, that automatically a part of it or a part of Africa will emerge that will solve the problem. And that's why I've always focused on leadership and justice, as opposed to some of the definition that people casually give. I mean, or some of the solutions that people casually give about Nigeria or Africa. That, oh, if you break up Nigeria today, everybody will be fine. You know, and I think I've said it to you several times that if you have Biafra today and it's Christmas tree at night and there's employment, you have water, drinkable water, you have infrastructure, you'll be overwhelmed by the failure of the Nigeria you left behind. Within a short time, the rest of the failed Nigeria will overwhelm by Biafra. It will. There's no question about it, because you can't just be wearing white surrounded by people carrying palm oil and they won't somehow spill it on you.
Mm.
It's the truth.
Yeah,
I've always said that, and I
yeah,
believe that that's the truth.
you're right.
Yes, Nigeria. I mean, the U.S. is about 90 miles from Cuba, and I don't know. I can't say for sure how far it is from Haiti, but you know that with all the Coast Guards, Navy that the U.S. has in place, when migrants want to go towards America, they just put their children on rafters and pumped up tubes, and they put them in the Atlantic Ocean when the wave is going towards the US and say, "Go. I hope you survive it." That's how Florida became what it is today, almost a Cuban second colony.
Mm.
So if we fix Nigeria, I believe it will attract a lot of goods. Nigeria is a successful nation of diverse peoples. It will attract a lot of good. But if we don't, if we break it up, every part we inherit their thieves, we inherit their maladministrators, we inherit misery. Because Nigeria did not become what it is today just because of Fulanis alone or Hausas alone. It's a collaboration of an evil set of people.
All right. Let me go to what will happen if you become president today. Whoever becomes president in 2023 will face two major crises. One of them is oil subsidy. The other one is debt that we owe. At this point, just servicing the debts is taking all the resources, revenue of the country. Oil subsidy is taking all the revenue. I don't know why people want to be president, come 2023, and how they will deal with that. You have talked about how you will deal with oil subsidy in other interviews. I want to play one of them and then get your reaction to that.
This is why you should know that there's no problem with Nigeria. If people can pay 100 million naira to get a piece of paper,
yeah.
become, and I'm talking about people who should know.
Mm.
You understand? They know that there's a hidden treasure in Nigeria that you and I don't know.
Mm.
I won't say you and I don't know. They know Nigeria is rich, it's prosperous, and they know that if you invest in the leadership of Nigeria, you can never be poor for the rest of it. That's why somebody will wake up, right, and go and put 100 million naira to buy a form to become president of Nigeria. I don't think people in Haiti will do that. I don't even think Americans will put that amount of money to buy the presidential form. I don't know. You know more about American politics than I do. I always tell you that I don't care. I don't pay attention to American politicians and politics. I'm always focused on Nigeria. I don't see an American putting like what would 100 million naira be? Probably be $50,000. I don't see that, because the first question people ask is that where do you get money from? And why would 20 people want to be a Democratic candidate? I don't think there were up to 20 Democrats in the last election or 20 Republicans in the last election. Why is that there are 20, Nigerians willing to stake everything When the salary of a Nigerian president in 4 years, 56 million naira, why would you want to buy the phone for 100 million? Because they know Nigeria is not as poor as they project it to be. You know Nigeria has got money. They know that when you become president, you don't even have to, even if you don't steal, you'll become a billionaire. But what has happened is that they figured out how to make inequality a role, you know,
Let,
in
let, let,
Nigeria.
let me play this your answer to oil subsidy and then get a further
Because I
clarity.
wanted to go to oil subsidy because
Yeah.
I wanted to
But,
say quickly,
yeah.
they're not subsidizing, there's no subsidy. It
Yeah.
is the social welfare for the rich.
Yeah. That's
You know,
that's what you said. Let's watch it. That's what you said.
Petroleum resources for the Nigerian people. You are subsidizing the rich. We know what is happening in those areas. Under Goodluck Jonathan in 2012, when we were fighting against subsidy, people were saying, no, we need it, we need it. When we did the struggle up to a point, we discovered that it was the rich that was being subsidized because they were bringing in water into Apapa Port, Tinkan Island, Atlas Cove, where they discharge petroleum products. And they will just ride it back and get paid.
Okay. Let's compare it to these pumps.
If anybody said he is subsidizing anything, he is a fraud. So all these people talking about subsidy, who is subsidizing him? But there is so much fraud, as I said, and indiscipline and corruption that I don't talk about it. But the day I have to talk about it, I will ask the petroleum economists to come and tell me who is subsidizing Nigerians.
So is it fair to say that you agree with the Buhari before he became president that subsidy is a fraud? And what will you do? Because he is the minister for petroleum, he is the president. He has not been able to deal with that fraud, and we still have subsidy. Right now, it's about 4 trillion. What are you going to do differently from? I'm assuming that when you get there, you won't see the kind of thing Buhari saw, that he couldn't do anything about it. That at this point, 7 years after, we have 4 trillion in subsidy.
let me put it this way: subsidy is a fraud, I believe, but Buhari is greater fraud than subsidy. And I'm saying this because just 3 days ago, his minister of his attorney general was sharing um, luxury vehicles, and he wants just to become a governor of the state. And he was bragging in another video, which is now in circulation, that people are complaining about him sharing Mercedes Benz and BMWs. They will get to a point where he'll be sharing airplanes to people, jets. That tells you it affirms my position that there's no subsidy. They're just subsidizing the rich. They're stealing and robbing Nigerians blind. There's no question about it. But the reason why I said Buhari is a fraud is that probably when he discovered that subsidy is a fraud, he overlooked it and was using it to service some people. So we just have a transfer of, we just have a change of the captains of the fraud that's going on in the oil sector. What I would do, so that you don't say I didn't provide any solution, is that I will fix our refineries, and I believe those refineries can be fixed. But you can't fix refineries by giving refineries repairs to bricklayers and people in government who are your friends. Buhari is not in charge of Nigeria with the respect. The man doesn't have, it's just a mannequin, has no presence of mind to govern a country. He's sick, both physically and mentally. And they know how to dribble around me. But you can't dribble around me as president of Nigeria because I'm mentally alive. So that's the difference between me and Buhari. And by the way, for trying to compare me with Buhari, I'm going to have my lawyers reach out to you.
No, I found that strange that you. I was surprised, but anyway, Chido,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, before we bring in the audience, they have lots of questions to ask. I'd like to go back to the question of money you raised. You said you don't have money, and you agree that politics in Nigeria is highly monetized. I mean, I'm not even talking about the amount of money you would spend going around the country campaigning. Even on election day, you need billions of naira to keep polling agents to protect your vote and so on. How are you? What are your plans to overcome this handicap, if we can call it that?
Well, it's not a handicap for as long as we apply wisdom and strategies to raise funds. The way we did, we do better in 2023. I would say that I'm probably one of the first persons to crowdfund for an election in Nigeria, and it worked. Now, crowdfunding has been adopted by Peter Obi, Dele Momodu, and you could say that maybe Buhari claims he crowdfunded in 2015 as well, but nobody ever knew how much he made from that. It's known to be a scam. But mine was transparently done. You could check on GoFundMe. I used to announce on a daily basis how much we got a donation from the local Nigerian account. So I still honestly believe this can be done and that people are receptive to ideas. They are receptive to ideas that can liberate them, that can pull them out of poverty, pull them out of insecurity. People are receptive to it. So what we need is to be able to reach out to all these people. But am I in denial of the fact that sometimes when you reach out to some people, they ask you outrightly, give us so amount so that we can share. But they also understand, and I've seen this at work, that I'm not the type who's out there to share money. They know I don't have money, and instead of asking me for money, they ask me questions. And when I tell them the truth, they accept it. I've been in a show today that I organized myself, and so many people came up and said, "We went out for you, and we were volunteers or polling agents. But after the election, we saw that there were people voting for you. But after they counted, they put zero for you. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to raise enough funding to take care of some of those issues and not have to give people money because there's nobody that can compete on those levels with the thieves who have hijacked the political space. But I believe that ideas can defeat them, and that's why I have confidently continued to push these ideas through to the people so that they can understand that money is not everything, and that people who rely on money only can be disgraced and defeated. I want to add to what you said that there are 120,000 polling units in Nigeria. 120,000 polling units in Nigeria. And if you spend 1,000 naira each to maintain a polling unit rent, that's a lot of money. But in the last election, we had plenty of volunteers who came up as polling unit agents. But we also had experienced situations where we had a polling unit agent who also, when he arrived at the polling units, collected money from the other political parties and started working for them. I'm not going to lie about it. We had reports of a few of them. So there's no guarantee that if you have money, that the polling unit agents will stand by their words and work for you. But we also believe that those who are volunteering to do it will stand by their words. So just stand to the end. I'm just telling you and revealing to you our experiences in 2019 and that we will definitely overcome some of these things in 2023.
You certainly have the courage of your conviction, and you are thinking that you can do this. And when I say do this, not just about having the capacity to govern. I'm looking at you having faith for you to be throwing your heart into the ring for the second time. There is a sense in which you trust this system, for want of a better word, that you have a modicum of hope or expectation that the current system would deliver. How do you, what do you make of that?
It's very interesting that you say that. I'm a pessimist when it comes to politics. I expect the worst and hope for the best. Uh, but my pessimism drives me to the point that I believe that without participating in the process and exposing its flaws, you also lose out on the opportunity to mobilize the public to say, well, maybe it's time for this very unjust and unfair and criminal system to come to an end. Um, Part of this is mobilization of the public against an unjust system because the public, not only me, the public has expectations of who their leaders should be. And each time they are denied of that opportunity, you raise the decibel of resilience against the system. You say to the system, every cause of injustice will yield or raise resistance. And the system doesn't like it. I know how till today, when we use the word revolution, people just get scared. And they say to you, we would have loved you more, we would have been more supportive of you if you didn't use the word revolution because it scares them. But they know that a revolutionary is participating in the election. And if they rig the election, they will face revolutionary consequences.
Okay. All right. So now we have people who want to talk to you. I will ask them to turn on their camera so that we can bring them on. But before that, I know that you just you traveled to your hometown for the first time in 3 years, and you visited your mom, who was heartbroken over what you've been going through, and she's down with stroke. You visited the grave of your brother who was killed during the time you were in detention. And you've not seen your family in America for more than 3 years. And I want to say, deals like this are the reasons that Fela probably said that most Africans or Nigerians don't want to fight for a better society. When it's all said and done, is it worth it? I'm asking you, is it worth it? And what are the limits of the price that you're willing to pay for all this?
You know, if you don't choose where you are born, you cannot tell what is what. I was born in Nigeria, and my 20 years stay in the US, I refused to change my citizenship because I wanted to deal with the consequences of being born a Nigerian. And this is not to say that those who change their citizenship, they made any wrong decision. Uh, but as to your real question, which is how much is too much, let me tell you, if it is for humanity, you make a decision to stand up for something, or you fall for nothing. Or you fall for everything. I hope I got it there. So this has been my trajectory in life since I was 10 years old. I've always thought about how to change society when I was a guy born when I was living in the village. Never thought, by any stretch of imagination that I would come to live in New York City, one of the largest cities in the world, and one of the most sophisticated. Create a business over there that was thriving, and then one day packed my bag and decided that I want to go and deal with the consequences of my place of birth. That's what it is. You know, I hope my wife is not watching this. She'll be more heartbroken. But when I saw my mom, I must admit that I was very sad. I wasn't at my brother's burial, but to see my mom paralyzed from neck below was very heartbreaking because when I was released in 2019, she had a 2-year visa, and my intention was I will get on the plane and travel, and she could do all the medical checks. If there's only something hidden, we could get her treated in the US. It never happened until I saw her last weekend. And it's not easy. You don't want to go in the direction of my wife and my kids. As I'm talking to you, they're going through their own challenges. Some of them mental. Kids haven't seen their dad for a long time. They keep asking their mom, "When is daddy coming home?" And sometimes when I call them on FaceTime, they ask, "When are you coming home?" And I have no answers, and I just have to give the network excuse. I can't hear you. I'm not saying I'm lying to them now, but it's just so sad. and so tough to answer kids that you don't know when you'll be back home. Last time we were in the Court of Appeal, they were expecting that the Court of Appeal would be charged of my bail condition. And trust me, uh, they were all heartbroken when they heard the result of the Court of Appeal. But I understood when I started this very early in life that this would happen. This would happen. But I must admit that I didn't know that what the military was doing in 1993 would become even a child play in 2022 for a civilian regime. And the fact that people just feel like this is normal, that it's normal to kill Shiites in their large numbers. It's normal to kill Biafrans who are protesting peacefully. It's normal to kill young people who are protesting against police brutality in 2020, 2021, and 2022. And also in the face of massive evidence to deny it and ask people to shut up. And it's not something that's just happening. It's not the leaders alone that are doing it. It's young people who just get paid with not even money but data. Uh,
All
it's
right.
hard and hard.
Let's get our audience to join the conversation. I have Ovie, Peter, and Ifeju. Ovie, what is your question? Please make it short so that we can get as many people as possible.
Okay, I've got two questions.
Okay.
The first one is around the media house. Sowore, you founded or you still largely in charge of, and which has rose to about $10 million within the space of 10 years. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, which is where if that is accurate, I must say kudos to that. But on the other hand, you can also correct me if I'm wrong. You receive quite an appreciable amount of donation from a foundation like a Ford Foundation, MacArthur Foundation, Omedia Foundation, and the rest. Knowing the history that you know Nigeria as a nation, as a society have with this kind of relationship, do you think the power brokers in Nigeria will actually trust you with the number one seat, knowing that you have this kind of relationship with the other side of the fence? Two, what is the total population, the total members of your party, AAC? I mean, if APC is claiming about what, 43 million membership, PDP is also laying claim to thereabouts, can easily claim 30 million as a winning vote come 2023. So I'm interested to know what is your party, knowing that you are so vying for the same position.
All right, thank you, Ovie. Let's get Peter. Sure, do you want to get the two other questions and then?
Yeah, his question is. Let me just add.
Okay.
Say that power brokers in Nigeria, as we know them, will have no problem with someone who is a lackey of the West, if that's what you're suggesting, because they are themselves former CIA agents, lackey of the British and American government. What you refer to as grants or donations from grant making agencies are things we applied for. I started Sahara Reporters on my own. I didn't with a laptop, $600 laptop. I said it everywhere, and I was at the point when we needed to expand that these opportunities appeared or have always been there in the American system that we apply for grants. You understand? Grants are not limited to media agencies alone. If you ever attended a university anywhere in the world, probably you have benefited from a grant. From Ford Foundation, from um, Media Foundation, or all these billionaires who give out money to universities. So grants are not new as means of expanding the frontiers of freedom. If someone says to me, uh, I have grants to help you develop your platform so that more people can reach you, and the conditions are clear, you apply for it, you get it. It's not a crime, in my view. But to link that with power brokers in Nigeria, you're wasting your time. There's no power broker in Nigeria that cares about where you get your grant from. They don't even apply for grant. They steal directly from Nigerian treasury. They loot it. I wish that they apply for grants. But in addition, they actually apply for grants. Bill Gates gives huge amount of money to Nigeria to eradicate polio. That's grant money. They loot it to the point that Bill Gates at the point stopped giving them money because they can't even explain what they do with the money. So just put that aside. It's nothing new. As society evolves, we all apply for grants. And I don't know where you're calling from, but probably when Ghana,
Atlanta.
probably during COVID, you got a grant that you didn't apply for. Yes.
No, that church give you full job.
Exactly. So maybe church is grant. I work with the Catholic Charity. The Catholic Charity gets a lot of grant from the U.S. government to resettle refugees, to feed people.
Well, I mean, but you understand where I'm coming from when you have this.
I'm also expanding your knowledge base about where grants come from. The grants that is used for the kind of thing you are suspicious about, they are never announced. If the CIA wants to fund me or want to fund you to do something in Nigeria, they won't ask you to apply for a grant. They'll come to your house and give you a huge amount of money. They don't have budget for that. And they will ask the embassy to give it to you. Nobody will ever account for it. But anything you do, the reason why you know that I applied for a grant is because it's open. You can Google and know where I got the grant from. Go and ask how Nigeria operates. By the way, the Nigerian government also recently gave Afghanistan a grant. You can't believe that.
Okay, all right. We have so many people who want to make sure that they get a chance. That's enough. Shall we go to the next person? And let's go to the studio is filled up. Peter, ask your question, please. Make it less than 30 seconds so that we can get as many as possible. We have less than 10 minutes. Peter, are you there? Peter, can you turn on your audio if you're off? Okay, go ahead, Peter.
Are you hearing me? Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Are you hearing me? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Sowore. It's a pleasure for me to speak with you today. I'm calling here all the way from Italy. Yeah, I'm calling here all the way from Italy. Yeah. So my question is this. Let me go straight. Mr. Sowore, what makes a good governor? That's my number one question. Number two, between the APC and PDP, who do you think is more better to a man as a better candidate? Then number three, my last question.
No, Peter, sorry. We have many people. We don't have enough time for.
So, Peter. Yeah, let's solve the problem by saying that Father forgive you that you are trying to choose between PDP and the APC. These two parties are one and the same. It's the only party, Nigeria is the only country where you can go to bed as PDP and wake up as APC the next day. They're not different. You understand? So, but you ask an important question: what makes a good government? Which is a government that cares about, the well-being of the citizens, that actually ensure that people like you and I don't suffer. I'm sure you found yourself in Italy, not by your own design. You were probably running away from Nigeria, and somehow you ended up in Italy. It happened to me too. At the point I left this country, I went on self-exile for 20 years. The day I came back, Nigeria followed me from the airport and put me in detention, put me in jail. You see my nose here? They broke my nose in the middle of the night. They shot me with a riot gun, daytime in Abuja here. And people were arguing that I was not shot, that I was the one who shot myself. Nigeria, there's no country like this in the world. So please don't be making the comparison between PDP and APC. It's just like comparing kidnapper and armed robber. Both of them are the same. They commit the same level of atrocity.
All right. I have to remove people who already asked questions so that we can let new people in. If we can, we have less than 6 minutes. All right. I will come to you. Who is next? Ifeju, ask your question. Make it 30 seconds, please. All right.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. I want to ask Omoyele. You appear
Go
to be
ahead.
both the chairman and the presidential candidate of your party. That doesn't sound democratic. Also, we all want to make an impact on our country. Is it only by being president you can make an impact? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'll answer your last question first. For 30 years, I was making impact by not being anybody. I was a non-entity. Chido Unuma can testify to that. Rudolph can testify to that. We're busting our, behinds. I don't want to use the word balls. Just trying to make impact. With publishing reports about corruption every day. Chido Unuma was one of my leaders as a student union leader in the 90s. We're confronting the military. We were getting arrested, beaten up. We didn't want to be president. But it got to a point where we realized that if you don't step out of your shell, you are just going to be managed by morons and non-entities. So it's not by my contesting for president was 2018. But before 2018, I was student union president in 1993. From 1992 to 1994. I was following Abiola. I was fighting for democracy. I was going to jail. I didn't expect anything. But each time we finished fighting for democracy, morons took over. So in 2018, I decided that let's push them aside, bring people with ideas into government. And I opted for president because I know that the best place to make the impact is the presidency. You can go to the Senate all you want. You can be a local government chairman if that's your aspiration. I owe you, I don't begrudge you. But it will not be true for people like me to say that I just woke up one day and I want to be president. No, I've been working and fighting for good governance for a long time, very long time, longer than you can imagine. Like I keep saying to people, some of you didn't know that I was student president in 1993. I started very early when I was 18 years old, and I was going to jail. In those days too, I was getting expelled from the university. I was getting beaten. Chido Numa is here. He can tell you a little bit of history of what we went through. So we didn't just start today. So it would be wrong to say I just woke up one day. But my brother, I will run Nigeria better than Tinubu. I can tell you that for free. I will I'll be a better president than Buhari. I'll be a better president. You will be a better president than Buhari and Jonathan, all these jokers who are running around in Nigeria. I've traveled for 20 years. I have exposure. I have a master's degree. I've set up a business that was thriving before I came and got involved in Nigeria. So there's nothing to defend about. And by rights, you can be president as long as you're 35 years old. Obama wasn't as old as myself when he became US president. I'm 51 years old. Obama was in his 40s when he became president. So let's stop this whole idea of, let's just limit ourselves to local government chairman. If that's what you can handle, go and become local government chairman. I don't begrudge you. But don't tell people, don't even tell your children that they should be limited in their dreams to something small.
All right.
Because
all right.
Their dreams are bigger than them.
Sorry, Sowore. We have 2 more minutes. So let me go to Bolaji. 30 seconds.
I'm not ready to do that, so you have to expand it.
Okay, we can expand it. Yeah, we can actually. I don't have a problem with that. Bolaji, go ahead with your question.
Sowore, I'll first say well done. You've sacrificed so much, which you're still doing. And if any of these questions are coming like sounding like we're undermining or not appreciating what you've sacrificed so much, that's not the intention. We all want a better Nigeria. My question is this. Looking at what is happening in South Africa, I've made this assertion quite some time on this platform. What do you think, like this strategy, do you think you are adopting a winning strategy, or you're just adopting a more from academic exercise that we just go to the election, make some statement and lose at the end of the day? Do you think there are some things to learn from Malema, for example? If you see the way they are coming gradually, they are taking over the country. If they continue this trajectory, maybe in the next 2 or 3 elections, there's a possibility of them taking over South Africa.
Okay, all right. Let's get 2 more so that you can take them together. Paul, your question, please.
Okay, yeah. So I don't really have much question. So Sowore, I know you have 2 strong constituencies. Your constituency is pretty clear. We know it's more about the youth, the Nigerians in diaspora. On that part, the Nigerians in diaspora can't vote. I feel for you on that part. Then the second one, the youth, the youth that I call the educated youth, those ones in college, precisely in campus. But during election time, the schools will shut down. What do you do? What are you doing towards that? To try to do everything within your reach so that school section will be on during election time. At least on that way, you can get votes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Bless, yeah, please, can you ask your question?
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Sowore. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this platform. Please, I'll ask just one question. What's your plan for uniting Nigeria if you become the president?
All right, thank you.
Do you want to take the questions, or do you want
okay,
to
get them then? Yeah, get them first so that we can maybe if we have time we can.
I love this. I love hearing about Malema in South Africa. But you know what it tells me? It's like when you're a child and you always tell yourself that the soup of another mother is sweeter than your mom's soup. You know, like the other side is always greener. You know, but I tell you, if Malema comes to Nigeria and he has to deal with Buhari, he will not survive 2 weeks in this country. You know, do you hear what Malema says every time? Do you know what he does to the president of South Africa? He will go to the parliament and call the president a thief, and nobody will arrest him because South Africans have fought for their freedom to a point where you can't just take it away. Is it not the same thing I'm doing here? I call Buhari a thief. The next day, DSS is in front of my house. They are beating me. They are breaking my nose. You know, the worst thing they do to Malema is they throw him out of the parliament, right? And then the next day, the guy is out. He even talks down on judges. Have you not seen some of his videos? Can you do that in Nigeria? You can't. But we do that here. If Malema were to be here, you will be calling him a coward because he would have gotten to the point where he can't get out of his house anymore. Even Bobby Wine in Uganda, they'll go to his house, the police will follow him around, they will prevent him from, but you rarely see them breaking his head or trying to kill him. They're not shooting people. Well, in Uganda, they were shooting and killing people, but not around Bobby Wine. But in my own case, you know, have you heard that somebody killed Malema's brother in South Africa? They did not kill my own brother here. So you cannot compare the level of impunity in Nigeria with that of South Africa. No, not, even Mandela, for the period, if you read his book, the period that he was in jail, they were having conversations with him. They were treating him nice at the point, you know, his conditions started improving. To the point at the point where even when he was in jail, they were driving him around at night to see South Africa. Who does that to me? They come to my events with knife, trying to kill me on a daily basis. I am not in any way saying that before now South Africa hasn't seen that. Of course, you know what the was that tribe in South Africa was doing to ANC, killing their members and all that. But over time, they have improved. Here, we don't have that luxury, you know, at all. So when you bring Malema up, come to Nigeria and let's practice Malema. Let's go to the National Assembly and call the president thief and make it back home. You understand? Let's go to Nigerian National Assembly. Call Buhari a thief at the National Assembly and try to get home from there and see what happens to you. So don't let us make the comparisons that are not necessary. But even with all that, we have been able to mobilize people to a point where young people can stand up for themselves. Do you know why NSAS happened? It was because we mobilized for it. It was because people like us took the risk that is unusual. You know, this position some of you are sitting on Bolaji, I used to sit in that position in the US, where I just wonder why people are not more aggressive or they could do more things. You know, you're talking about Black Lives Matter, all those things are sexy. But when it comes to practicality, when you come home, some of you cannot even survive the heat at the airport.
just arriving and waiting for customer. You'll be sweating like we call Christmas goats. And then you have to deal with police. And you have to be shot at, you know. And then you look around and say, maybe Sowore was behaving like Malema. I wish that I had South Africa as my country. I would be more popular than Malema. You will say, wow, who is this guy? Because what Malema have to do is just wake up in the morning, take a shower, get dressed up, and go and speak to large crowds of students, youth, and they will see him, they clap for him. He has his own, practically has his own TV station. They have an office, swanky office. If you put up Malema's office in this Abuja, one live the next day, if they don't burn it down, call me a bastard. You know, you can't even find a landlord who is willing to give you a house in Abuja to practice what Malema practices in South Africa. Beyond that, Malema gets a grant. His party, the EFF, go and check, gets a grant. Somebody was talking about grant earlier. For the South African government. If you're from South Africa, you would know this. They get an amount of money from the South African taxpayers as a political movement. You must give it, whether you hate what he says or not, you must give him that money. Who is going to give me money for abusing the government here? So, and with all the things that Malema is doing, you go and look at what the media is doing to him in South Africa. They accuse him of all kinds of things. They go and check into his, what's it called, garbage bags. They check what he's smoking, what he's drinking, and all that. All the scrutiny are there. So all countries have their own challenges. Mr. Bless, you asked me, how do you intend to unite Nigerians? Justice, justice, justice. I hate the word unity, you know, because they use it to blackmail people. You know, it's like a section of the country says, and as long as you use the word unity, they are fine with you. But you can't forcefully unite people if you don't give them what they deserve as citizens of the country. You can't have a country where some people are second-class citizens, some are first-class citizens, you know. And I used to be a little bit, you know, unconvinced about some of these behaviors until I was detained. And people will come and beat their chests in front of you that this country belongs to us. How dare you challenge Buhari? You know, who are you? You understand? We're going to kill you here. We die here. And they followed up by going to federal high court to abduct me in front of the judge. The judge ran away. You all saw it because they believe the country belongs to them. But it's not peculiar to the Fulanis alone. They just did it under Jonathan. Then everybody shut up, you know. The Yorubas were doing it under Obasanjo. Unity is not something that's just going to exist or come out of, you know, the woods. It has to come from a respectable place for citizens. And that is what I need to tell you. I'm never going to discuss unity as a basis for governance because it's not even one of the hierarchy of needs for citizens. It's just a blackmail word. It's a blackmail buzzword. How are you going to unite? How do you unite people with hunger and starvation? How do you unite them with killings, you know, abductions? How do you unite them with oppression? It's not going to work. You can't even unite a house with those kind of practices. Bolaji, I think I probably lost what your question was, but you're saying that when you're there, can you just quickly remind me what you asked? You know, sometimes I talk too much, and that's why I get it.
Balaji, remind him because we're totally out of time. You know, so
let him just address other questions.
Okay, other questions. Okay, hold on.
Don't use it against me if in the future that you Sowore.
Okay, hold on, Sowore. Ralph, what's your question before
Ralph, hi. Hi, I'm Raphael Harry of White Label American Podcast. So my question is this. I always see your surrogates, and 95% of people I've seen are always men, and I don't think they do a good job of delivering your message, Mr. Sowore. So where are the women, and what roles do women play in your movement and campaign? And I always hear you saying that you're targeting the youth. I don't think that's a great idea based on Nigeria's politics. Do you have a plan for reaching out to women and like the elders? I won't just say women, especially our elders, because no matter how big the youth population is in Nigeria, we still listen to our elders, and whatever the elders tell you to do, we do it.
All right.
So
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
That's it, Ralph. One last question. Module, you give your question and then that's it. We round up.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Rudolph.
Okay, go
Hey,
ahead.
Babasho.
Hey, Mazu, man.
Yeah.
You're looking fresh. Let's have it.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so I've really been interested in Nigeria, the entire thing, and I've kind of like become worried about um and I've written about this a couple of times. I think and I believe Nigerians are accomplices. So how do you so each time I hear you speak, each time I hear someone like Barrister Fautimi speak, I kind of like personally I've lost interest. What keeps you going? Because Nigerians are in bed with these leaders. Nigerians are in bed with all of these rulers, and they do not see themselves as not being a party to all of these words. So what keeps you going? Why do you think this is worth it?
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Sure, you can get the answer the questions then.
Some of us who attended secondary school in Nigeria with that punishment, uh, we are the GOAT, of the movement. We are the ghosts. They beat you, you keep coming back. But on a serious note, it's because people have different levels of consciousness and conviction. I have never. Some people are like, someone is playing music in the background. I'm distracted.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out who that is.
I have never.
Can you mute yourself? Okay,
I have
good.
never
Good.
thought that there is need for us to abandon Nigeria or the people of Nigeria, because I found myself defending people who are not even Nigerians, who are, um, oppressed. I've been part of the movement that fight for Palestinians. I fought for different groups. I fought for groups in Brazil before who are oppressed, the landless people. So why would I not be able to fight for the people of the country of my birth when their case is even clearer sometimes? I've met a Palestinian before who told me that they have better electricity than Nigeria. He doesn't understand why we are worried about them. We need to go fix our problem instead of protesting on their behalf. So I just think you can't abandon 200 million people if you can help in any way and just say, well, it's fine, to live in America, wake up, drive your car, drive your children to school, drive them to soccer games, and just be all right. There's a part of my conscience that is deeply wounded when I look back at Nigeria and Nigerians and just know that just with little leadership, when I say small leadership, you can make a lot of difference. You were here with us maybe up to like 2 years ago, Modiro. And I'm sure your position has changed because you've seen how things work. Maybe in those days I would sit around in our office in the cage and I just talk about how things work. You probably look at me and like, what is he talking about? But now you're there. You see how like local governments, towns do things right, and nobody seems to, it's like a rhythm, everything works. I'm not in any way saying that those places are perfect. No. I have my issues with America as well. After 20 years, I don't believe it's the perfectly just society that's been banded as. So I sometimes honestly don't know what keeps me going, but I know I keep going, and I'm not sounding haughty or trying to be finicky, but there's just a part of uh, my system that can't stand injustice, and I think that's what keeps me going. White label, how about we do this? Call me. Let's do a show. You have a show. It seems like you're a broadcaster. We can do a show. But you said that we're trying to not, maybe we're not reaching women enough. I'll tell you, it's tough. Women in Nigeria are still very oppressed. It requires a different level of mobilization to get into the barricades. But they're also doing a great job considering their circumstances. We're seeing more of younger females these days who are coming out. But the older ones the elders you talk about are always pulling them back because they have a way of labeling women who are politically involved. You know, they call them prostitutes, and they call them too forward. Our society is still largely a very rapidly chauvinistic society. You know, you don't have that luxury of like, my daughter is 15 years old and she's based in the US. The kind of questions she asked me, I don't think a 15-year-old daughter here can ask their parents. She'll challenge me, you know. She said things, you know, and Rudolph has a young daughter as well. Rushido has a young daughter as well. We all have these people. They can't do that here. If we're here, you'd be like, eh? You just do and they'll disappear. Like, but you can't do that here. So we must first the job of getting females to come out and be bold police play is like twofold. First, you have to break the yoke of oppression that's like natural against them. And secondly, you have to move them to a level of consciousness. I have said it. I don't know why Nigerian women are begging for percentages. They have more numbers, voting numbers than men. But they still have been conditioned to believe that women are not supposed to be leaders. In Kaduna, somebody told me yesterday there was supposed to be a deputy governor of Kaduna who is supposed to be the next governor. And the religious leaders in Kaduna met with El Rufai, according to this story, and said, we cannot accept a female president in the north. And it's not just people, it's not just religious leaders in Kaduna, it's religious leaders in the north. They said it's not happening here. But ask yourself, why hasn't there been an elected female governor in Nigeria? No. There's only Etiaba, one woman who inherited, like, I think a short term from a governor, I think in Anambra. That's the first. Because our society is rapidly chauvinistic. As per youth, trust me, we have been carrying young people along, but I addressed it at the beginning. These young people have to deal with other issues. You know, some of them have identity issues, they have financial issues, they have cultural issues, some of them are dealing with religious issues, they have to deal with oppression. I see my brother Ovi on this side of this. You cannot wear your hairstyle to Kano. Somebody's going to grab you on the street and shave it and shove it down your throat. That's Nigeria for you. You know,
are you calling us lazy?
No, it's even come. They've come as far as some parts of Abuja. You know, the religious fashion police. They've come as far as some parts of Abuja. If you wear, but even those who are not religious, the regular police sees you when you are automatically a Yahoo guy who must be arrested, beaten up, roughened up because of your hair. If you are lucky that you have dreadlocks and you paint it colored, oh, you're a ritualist. You know, how do you deal with all these issues as a youth and make progress? So I know, Rudolph, you have to go. Please, I appreciate your using me for social experiments. You know that if you are able to get me, other presidential candidates will come, but I know of 3 of them that will never come to your show. Atiku, Tinubu, and Oshibajo. It doesn't matter how many you try. They have nothing to tell you.
We're working on them. We're working on them. Actually, no, we're working on them. We're talking to their people, and there are indications that they may be surprised.
They will never. The people who will never go to a debate will not come on your show. They know that you are not able.
No, we are making promises. But thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sowore. Just one last question before we wrap up. We're way out of time. Considering all you know and looking at the situation in Nigeria, do you think there will be elections next year? And then finally, will you probe, if there are elections and you emerge president, will you probe the current regime?
Oh my God, I'll probe the regime
Quickly.
up to 1960. You know, I'm not lying. People ask me not to say it, but I'll say it. I'll probe everybody. Everybody has stolen this money will be probed. You know, even if it's just for historical reasons, so that will change the trajectory of our history. I will. And I'm not afraid to say that. As to whether there will be election next year, I think so. They always capitalize on that doubt to reduce the number of participants in the election. If one state votes in 2023, they will declare a president. and ask the rest of you to go to court. And you know the courts have the judges are their own, you know. So it's it's not a difficult thing. And I have a guy who I've
All right.
seen on the right who's been asking questions. I think he deserves some answer. Like, oh, you
Yeah.
know, should I do
Are
I
you
want
going
to
to
be
drop the
chairman?
chairmanship as well?
It's part of the question about chairmanship that I think I didn't get to. I never wanted to be party chairman. I just wanted to create a party. But when we started our party in 2018, we had just started a new party and we had no time. And we met in Lagos. This was live streamed. And they decided that we should keep the party executives as they are because we knew the government was trying to infiltrate the party. And after the party had its primaries, I kept asking everybody because, you know, Rudolph knows this part of me. I'm a reluctant leader in terms of managing, you know, things that I believe in. I believe in democracy to the point of party
Sure.
democracy.
Are you willing to work with Sheung with his movement MOP?
Sheung, I hate
Are
to
you,
say it, Sheung
are
is
you
my
willing to
person.
collaborate?
Sheung is my person. Sheung is my person. I work with Sheung, and I'm willing to work with anybody who believes in. Yeah. But if you ask Sheung today, he might tell you he's not even interested in election. He's my good friend. Sheung might have a completely different position from you. And Moji knows, you know, the axis, our relationship with Sheung and all that. So, but if Sheung comes up to them and says, "Let's work together," of course, I got his back. You know, I love Sheung, brilliant guy. But Sheung may not even believe in this election. He wanted to register a party. Now they said they're not registering parties. So, so forget about that. But on the issue of party, just to answer that person, I will be the happiest person not to be chairman of AAC. I don't get paid salary. I've not ever been paid. Never spent a dime from party account before since we established the party. Even though I'm the founder of the party, we use our money. Malcolm, myself, Leke Otunoga, we raised the money to establish the party. Never spent party money before. The money that I spent for my presidential election, you can confirm this from any party member, was money that I raised on my own through GoFundMe and the Zenith bank account. And I've explained it to the public. Never spent money, party's money before. Never. So, and they know this, but the question that person should ask is the guys they try to use to hijack the party have been in charge of the faction of the party they are controlling. They have never produced a single statement of account. And they have been in bed with PDP. They collected $100 million, naira from Wike in 2019. Collected 10 million naira from Odiri in a PDP candidate in Bayelsa. Collected 5 million or 10 million naira from this Kogi governor. These are guys who are doing deals with a party we established, you know. But that's Nigeria for you. Those ones are normal. But those of us who are providing accounting, we are treated as, you know, the pariahs. But that's Nigeria for you, you know. So,
So,
All right.
I guess we forgot to address my question of what are you doing towards the student in campus that register to vote in campus, but during election time, your campus will be closed down. And that way, it may affect your vote. What are you doing towards that? At least I need you to throw more light on it.
students who are registered to vote don't need to vote on campus. You understand? Yes, I understand their polling units might be on campus, but most students are smart enough to register to vote in their home states or cities or towns or villages because they've understood this over time. The question you should ask yourself is, do a lot of students actually go out to vote on election day? And that's the problem. The elites don't vote. Even if they have their PVC, any little thing, they don't want to go to the voting polling units. It's a question, do they vote? If students were to vote, nobody can defeat their candidates. Nobody can win against them because not only will they vote, they will stand by their votes. They're stubborn enough, they're radical enough to stand there until the votes are counted. You can't, you know, I was a student leader for a good number of years. I know how students operate, you know, but the reason why they close down campuses is not because they don't want students to vote. It's because they don't want the campuses to be used as a space for mobilization for radical candidates like me. I mean, I was passing at DME College of Education or at DME Federal College of Education the other day from on my way to my village. The students came out en masse and they forced me to address them on their campus. The government don't like that. They were panicking for the 5-10 minutes I was on campus because they know that more students would ask for me to come to campuses. But today, it's very difficult to get into any campus.
All right,
So,
all right. Sowore, thank you so much for spending this almost 2 hours with us. It's unusual. We've never exceeded 90 minutes. They were trying to switch it off. I was begging them to let us go further because I like this interaction with our viewers and you. We appreciate your time and we wish you all the best in the upcoming election.
I will say this to you, Dr. Diamond, if I become president, you are not getting a ministerial position.
That's okay. I have no plans to come and be a minister, so don't worry about that.
If you want to be, you better come home now.
I have no plans. It's not in the agenda. But thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you so much.
What
Dr. Diamond,
about those of us who have known you since your kindergarten days?
I can make you minister or something. When you get there, we'll discuss that. Anyway, I trust you. You get something big,
Thank
All
you
right.
so
Thank
much.
you, everybody that watched.
Thank you everyone for coming. I appreciate the interaction. Thank you, and talk to you guys soon again.
All right. Thank you. And thank you all for watching and joining us. And those that left comments, we appreciate it. And those that donated, I think I saw some people donated some money. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. We'll see you next Sunday at the same time. And all the best, everybody.
And do remember to follow us on our social media platforms. 90 Minutes Africa on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you.
All right. Okay.